This lesson is on glaciers. So what are they? Glaciers are large masses of ice and snow, and they are actually moving on the land. It's kind of hard to think about because we think of ice and snow as a solid, but it does move on top of land. So they are going to form when there's more snow falling than melting. So you're getting this accumulation of snow. And evidence of them that we can still see today would be a U-shaped valley. Some of those were actually created by ice and snow. So there are two types of glaciers. The first is called continental. So a continental glacier is going to cover a very large mass of land. It's going to go over an island or a continent. That's why it's called continental. And it's going to spread out in all directions. That's how it gets to be so large. It's going to be larger and thicker than a valley glacier. And the two places in our world today that still have them are Antarctica and Greenland. A valley glacier is a little bit different. So it's not going to be that large land mass. It's going to be formed between mountains. If you think of what a valley is, the snow and ice is going to build up between those mountains. It's going to be narrower for sure. And that's where you're going to get that strip of land in a valley shape. If you have a valley glacier that's moving very, very fast, they call it a surging glacier. And surging glaciers can move up to 6 kilometers per year, which is just mind-boggling to me that ice can move that fast or that far in 1 year. So that's why they give those the term surging. So glacier erosion. So erosion is always the wearing away. So glacier erosion is also known as plucking. So this is when the glacier is moving along and it's picking up rock and earth, and erosion, it gets carried along as it's flowing over the land. So you might have rock, earth, and maybe some sediment over here, and the glacier will pick it up and actually carry it along as it's flowing over the land. So that would be the erosion part of it and the plucking. Then after it's been picked up and carried, we move into glacier deposition, a word we've been using a lot. So erosion is the wearing away, being carried. The glacier deposition is when the rocks that have been picked up are put back down. And what does it look like when they are deposited or laid back down? So there's three examples here. Or three vocabulary words, I should say, that go along with the rocks being laid back down. So the first is a till. Till would be the smaller rocks, the little bits of sediment that are deposited by a glacier. So it's going to be smaller in size for the till. The moraine is going to be more of a ridge-like shape, so it's not going to be the small rocks anymore. This is going to come at the edge of glaciers, forming those ridge-like shapes. And then the kettle, the last type they talked about. So kettle is also going to be bigger than the till. It's when you have these big blocks of ice from a glacier and they melt. They're going to form these depressions. So I guess I have the word melt there twice, but you get the gist. When you have blocks of ice that melt and they're deposited, you're going to get these depressions to the point where you can have a kettle lake formed. So if you have a glacier that goes through and it melts, so it's this temperature started to go up and it melts, you're going to get depressions to the point where if they fill with water, you could actually have a lake created from a glacier that formed a kettle depression. They also talk about the Ice Age. So the Ice Age, you've probably heard the term. They've happened in the past, and it's when continental glaciers, so the bigger, the larger mass ones, have covered a lot of the earth. So I thought this picture was really interesting, and just to kind of orient you a little bit. So this is China and Japan, and then here's the United States, Canada over here. So it's not the earth globe that we're used to seeing or a map. It's kind of the other part of a map. So picture us over here, China, Japan over here. So during the Ice Age, look at how much white is here. That's all glaciers. And then look, today, we've got Greenland there. That's about it. Greenland has some glaciers. But in the term of the Ice Age, look at how much of this part of the earth was covered in ice. So the last thing I wanted to do for you is I found this video. It's very cool. So it's a time lapse. So it's going to show a glacier moving. Typically, you can't see glaciers moving. Even a surging glacier would be hard to see with your eyes. But if you can speed it up in time, they're called time-lapse cameras that can actually do it, you can see the movement. So I'm actually going to skip ahead in this video until it gets to the cool part, if it'll let me here. So I want to get 50 seconds in. All right, so this is really cool.
time-lapse camera shows that Niggard's brain's surface ice travels at around 275 meters per year, carving away the rock as it goes.
So that's not something you could typically see with your own eye, even if you stood there for a year. But those cameras that can speed it up, it's just really cool to see this really happens. And it does erode away the rock, and it does make more landforms.